Hello friends and followers, welcome back to Phoenix Studios. I'm Phoenix. Thank you for tuning in to the 10th video in a 10-part series on drawing for beginners. Today we will be covering the basics of understanding the flow in our drawing. What I'm doing here is taking a permanent marker and just sketching in some random flow lines. Today you can just follow along with this exercise. As you practice this a few times, you'll be able to go ahead and create your own flow lines. At the beginning of the video, you will notice I sketched a value scale. This is something I encourage you to do at the beginning of your drawing sessions when you are first getting started in drawing. It's a great warm-up for your hand, your creative process, as well as your mind-body connection in regards to creating artwork. Now I'm sketching in. I chose to put a rectangle in this area. Like I said, just you can follow along with this example, and I could have used any shape here to create form, but I just chose to put a rectangle in this section. So I'm just sketching that out. We're basically incorporating everything that we've learned in the previous videos and bringing it all together in this video. We'll use a little bit of perspective, we'll use a little bit of shading and blending, we'll use some sketching, and we'll take two-dimensional objects and turn them into three-dimensional form. So I've drawn this rectangle, and now in order to follow that flow line, I want to draw another shape and turn that into a form. So for this one, I just chose another rectangle and I have it kind of coming towards you more or less, so because of the perspective, it narrows as it recedes away from the viewer. Those are the angles you see I'm throwing on there. And really, I'm not too concerned with these forms or these shapes. It's just a practice exercise. I'm just using random shapes. Anything can go in here. Now that I've drawn a couple shapes, I need to determine where my light source is, so that when I do throw some values on here and some shading, I know which sides are going to be my shadow edge, where my lighter and mid-tones are going to go on the objects. So I just chose any random spot, put my light source up there, and started shading in accordance with that light source. As you work on this sketch and all the sketches you do, remember to be patient with your drawings. These techniques do take time and a lot of practice to grasp. Also, keep in mind that these are just sketches and they are for practice. Therefore, they do not need to be perfect. Now I'm just adding some shading here to the end of this rectangle to give it a little form. Help us establish where the light source is, where our shadows fall on it. And as you can see, all the previous videos and all the lessons we covered were really gearing us up for an exercise like this, where we've incorporated all those things that we've learned. Here I'm doing a cylinder. So first I sketched an ellipse, and then I draw the edges of the cylinder that basically follow the same contours of the flow line. And using these techniques, we can actually take those basic techniques that we've learned of sketching shapes and using shading and value in order to create form, to actually sketch the human figure. And believe it or not, this exercise that we're currently doing is how you begin sketching human anatomy and figure drawing. This will actually help you tremendously when you do that. Breaking it down and recognizing the lines of flow, the action of the figure that you're drawing, breaking it down into these basic shapes of rectangles and squares and spheres, and replacing those with shoulders and forearms and biceps. This is the way that you simplify it and break it down. That's what this exercise is all about. Here I'm sketching another cylinder to continue on with that line of flow. When we are drawing realistic scenes, it's important for us to learn how to effectively communicate a sense of depth and space. We're attempting to trick the viewer's eye into believing and seeing a three-dimensional space on what they know to be a two-dimensional piece of paper. Now, virtually everything in the natural world can be simplified or grouped into essentially four basic two-dimensional shapes: the square, the triangle, the circle, and the rectangle. All other shapes can be constructed using these. But when we add a third dimension to these shapes, we create the illusion of form in our drawings. A circle can become a sphere or a cylinder, and a triangle morphs into a cone, or a square can become a cube. Now on this last form line, I decided to sketch in another rectangle here. Could have chosen any shape, like I said previously. You can do triangles, rectangles, whatever you want here. I just chose a rectangle for this portion just to demonstrate that line of flow. When you're able to depict this accurately in your drawings, you can powerfully communicate the illusion of realism. And with this exercise, like with all these exercises, be sure to practice it repeatedly and you will continue to improve. Remember, practice makes progress. So I'm just laying on some values and some tones for this rectangle, and then I'm deciding what this last form is going to be on this last section of this flow line. And I chose to go with a cone here. And I want to make that cone bend and dip away just like the arrow is, just like the line of flow is. So I showed that we're looking down on the ellipse and the cone is bent and tipping down and away from us, just to give that illusion of flow. And then I go ahead and shade this cone in. Don't forget to stay tuned for the giveaway taking place at the end of this 10-part series. In order to enter, make sure you subscribe to the channel and post a comment under this video explaining one thing you learned from this series that helped you artistically. I will select one random comment to win a free kit of beginner's art supplies. Now I'm just darkening up those edge lines so that they show up a little better, really define those forms. As always, I want to thank you for watching, and I look forward to our next session. And now it's your turn. Go create something.